For those of you who've been watching this channel for a while, you will be fully aware that I'm a massive loser. And like a massive loser, I enjoy going on second-hand book websites. And on there, you can get some rather decent Formula 1 books, such as Gilles Villeneuve, The Life of the Legendary Racing Driver, Jackie Stewart, Winning is Not Enough, and even Graham Hill's motor racing book. But that's not what we're here to talk about today, because I found a very interesting book on the online this week, and it's this: The Top 100 Formula 1 Drivers of All Time by Alan Henry. This is a YouTube list in book form, and a rather long one too. And the reason I think this is incredibly interesting is this book was released before the 2008 Formula 1 season. So it is ranking the 100 greatest Formula 1 drivers of all time from quite a few years ago. And in those years, a lot has changed. Like, for example, if you were to write a list today of the 100 greatest Formula 1 drivers of all time, someone like Max Verstappen might feature rather high. But back when this was released, he was still in karting. Sebastian Vettel may also feature rather highly on the list, but when this was released, I think he only had like 8 races to his name. And even the man on the front cover, Lewis Hamilton, had only had 4 Formula 1 race wins. So how does he fare in this book compared to how he would do now? Someone like Michael Schumacher hadn't had his comeback with the Mercedes team. Does that make him higher or lower? I don't know. And, you know, the entire career of Karun Chandhok has happened in the space between this book coming out and now, so he won't feature in this list either. And that's what makes this book super interesting to me. I want to see who, in the space of 17 years, which drivers are now higher up the totem pole, and which drivers might have been pushed down a little bit to make way for other people. That's why I think this is so interesting. Also, just from looking at the cover of this, of course, Lewis Hamilton is on the front cover. If we look at the back, it has Graham Hill and Jim Clark on the back, so there might be a heavy load of our favourite thing, British bias, in this book as well. So that's something to look out for. Isn't that fun, everybody? But yeah, we'll just see how this goes. I'll read through it. I probably won't put every single person on the list in the video, but if there's people that I think we need to discuss, we'll discuss them. Starting with number 100, everybody. Here we go. It's Brian Redman. I have no idea who that is. Good start, everyone. Brian Redman. Here we go. Brian Redman, 12 races, 1 podium. Best ever result of 3rd at the Spanish Grand Prix of 1968. Congratulations, Brian. You are the 100th best Formula 1 driver of all time. Okay, moving on. Number 99 is Jochen Mass. Now, of course, I know who Jochen Mass is. Only 1 win for him, but that is our first race winner of the book. 105 races it has for here. So, you know, just 1 place better than Brian Redman with his 12 races. Number 98 is Stefan Johansson, who never won a race and had nowhere near the races of Jochen Mass. So, argue amongst that one yourself. 97, Piers Courage, only 28 races, never winning, between 1967 and 1970. Interesting. The 96 is Trevor Taylor. Now, I know Trevor Taylor because he was the teammate of Jim Clark when Clark was winning in the early 60s for Lotus. I don't know how he is better than Jochen Mass, I'll be honest with you right there. And this is very controversial here already. 94 is Jacques Laffite. Jacques Laffite, who was 1 race away from becoming the 1981 world champion in a Ligier, mind. You know, he's Mr. Ligier. Also in 1981, Jacques Laffite, as I said, almost won the world title. He had multiple teammates that year. None of his teammates ever scored a single point, but Jacques Laffite took that car to nearly becoming the world champion against the Williams and the Brabham. Much better than 94 on this list. I think that's wrong there. Jacques Laffite. Some respect on Jacques Laffite's name, if you wouldn't mind. 92, Wolfgang von Trips. Now, that is quite a tragic story, really, because he could have been the 1961 world champion, really. But, you know, that's just how things go, unfortunately. Number 91 is Ralf Schumacher. Honestly, I think that's relatively accurate, really. 6 race wins, 180 Grand Prix, but really, 91 is kind of okay, I think. Number 90 is Roy Salvadori, who I've never heard of in my life, but he has 47 races there. You got 89 Mike Hailwood. These are just British men that I've never heard of, but apparently some of the greatest racers of all time. Okay, 86 is John Watson. Again, another man who was very close to a world title in 1982. I feel that's... I mean, he's better than Ralf Schumacher, that is for sure. But, 86 I feel is rather low. And you know what? I might put Jacques Lafitte better than John Watson. That's just my own personal opinion there, but I do love Jacques Lafitte. Love me some Lafitte, if you know what I'm saying. 85 is Jarno Trulli. I think that's fine. 1 race win, lots of races in his belt, but there you go, only the 1. Number 84 is Innes Ireland, who got the first ever race win for Team Lotus, but I think that was his only race win there. 83 is Tom Price. Now, I love Tom Price. I made a documentary on Tom Price. He had 1 pole position and 1 race win in an unofficial race. Never actually won a race proper. Unfortunately, tragically lost his life there. 83. I mean, Tom Price. I feel a lot of these so far are, if this guy hadn't have died, he would have been this good. But unfortunately, they did die. I don't know if you can say that Tom Price is the 83rd best Formula 1 driver of all time. He had some very good performances, some great podium results, and was amazing in that shadow car. But 83? I'm not too sure. You see, like this as well. Number 82, Tony Bryce. Tony Bryce had 10 races in his career, then died in the plane crash that also killed Graham Hill. I mean, how can you possibly say that Tony Bryce, in his 10 races, had a better career than Jacques Lafitte or Jarno Trulli or John Watson? You can't. So I'm disagreeing with this book, and this is how far we are in so far. Barely anything. Number 81 is René Arnoux, who, was a great driver. I mean, I think the issue that René Arnoux had was that he was teammates with Alain Prost at the early stages of Prost's career, and Alain Prost is one of the greatest of all time. Will certainly be a lot later in this book. I think he was kind of overshadowed from there, but 81, maybe that's fair. We've got Eddie Irvine at number 76. See, I think that's relatively fair as well, really. I think, yeah, that's okay. Okay, well, this is possibly the most interesting one we've had so far. At number 71 is Dick Seaman. I've got a lot to say about Dick Seaman. If you're not aware of who Dick Seaman is, he was a racing driver in the 1930s, right? And he drove for Mercedes in the 1930s. And if you're not well aware of world history, let's just say Mercedes were a team who were owned by the people who ran Germany in the 1930s, who are also sometimes known as the bad guys of World War II. And the lead bad guy, let's call him Radolf Rittler, was a huge fan of Dick Seaman. He loved Dick Seaman. Dick Seaman was his favourite driver in the world. Absolutely loved him. To the point that when Dick Seaman died, and he only died like a few months before the outbreak of the Second World War, Radolf Rittler sent the biggest load of flowers to his funeral against the will of Dick Seaman's family, because despite hating the entire world that wasn't Germany at that point, Radolf Rittler loved Dick Seaman, the British racing driver, so much that he was just devastated by his death. So, huge fan of Dick Seaman was our Radolf. So that, he's a fascinating character. Firstly, the stupidest name you've ever heard in your entire life. Secondly, the connection to Mr. Rittler. But also, back to the book. ever so slightly because we're going all over the place at this point. This book is called The Top 100 Formula One Drivers of All Time. Dick Seaman died in 1939. He never competed in Formula One. How could a man who never competed in Formula One be the 71st best Formula One driver of all time? If it was called the top 100 Grand Prix drivers of all time, then yeah, I get where you're coming from, Alan Henry. But I think to have Dick Seaman in the middle of this book is a travesty, even if he is absolutely fascinating in every way. Number 70 is Derek Warwick. Much respect to Derek. You're not better than Jacques Lafitte, Ralf Schumacher, Jarno Trulli, any of them really, but you do have more F1 races than Dick Seaman. That you have to give him that. Number 69 is Martin Brundle. You know when I said there's British bias in this book? There's no way Martin Brundle is the 69th best Formula 1 driver of all time. Much respect to Martin, but he had 156 Grand Prix and never won a race. And you can say, yeah, well look at the cars he was in. At one point he was teammates with Michael Schumacher in the Benetton, when Michael Schumacher was doing Michael Schumacher things and doing incredibly well. Was also, drove for the likes of Williams, McLaren, all that kind of stuff. Very respected career, and has to be respected, of course. But he's not better than Jacques Lafitte. My boy, Jacques Lafitte, has been screwed over in this list so far. There is definitely some British bias going on here, because number 68 is Rubens Barrichello. How is Rubens Barrichello only one place ahead of Martin Brundle? Rubens Barrichello was one half of Ferrari in the most dominant era ever. And I know he was not the Michael Schumacher half, but still, he was there. He helped out. Of course, after this book, because this lists his teams here, and it ends on 2007 Honda. Of course, he would have another year of Honda, and then we'll go to a little team called Brawn, where he would win a couple more races. So, yeah, I mean, I wonder if Jenson Button will actually be in this book at all. That'll be interesting to find out. But yeah, I think Rubens is... Oh, here he is! Jenson Button, number 67. How does that make any sense? So, when this book came out, Jenson Button has one race win. Now, Jenson Button was my favourite driver in the world when I was a kid. I absolutely loved him, and I still love him. He's fantastic. But when you have him and Barrichello here, by 2007, Barrichello had a hell of a better career than Jenson Button. Now, obviously, they were teammates at that time, and I think Button was beating Barrichello semi-regularly in a car that wasn't very good. But Jenson Button had one race win, Rubens Barrichello had 9. Now, if you're doing this list now, obviously Jenson Button is ahead of Rubens Barrichello, but I think he's a hell of a lot higher than number 67, because he'd go on to win the world title in the Brawn, one of the most famous stories in the history of Formula 1, then go into the McLaren, go neck to neck with Lewis Hamilton. You beat him in one season, the first driver ever to beat Lewis Hamilton in equal machinery. He then beat Fernando Alonso in equal machinery as well. So Jenson Button would be a hell of a lot higher in this list if it was written today. If I was writing this back in 2007, I don't know if I would put him ahead of Barrichello, but there you go, that's me. Riccardo Patrese is number 65, and I think at this point he may have had the record for the most F1 races ever, but that being said, he only had 6 wins, which I think is the exact same as Jacques Lafitte, is it not? Did Lafitte have 6 wins? Where's Lafitte's entry gone? I can't remember what number he was. Jacques Lafitte, 6 wins! So Jacques Lafitte's 6 wins in 176 Grand Prix, right, when he drove for Ligier for most of his career, that lands him number 94. We go to Patrese, right, who had 6 wins in 256 Grand Prix, and let's not forget, not only drove the Brabham that brought Piquet his second world title, but also drove the 92 Williams, which is one of the most dominant Formula 1 cars of all time, only managed 6 wins. How is he better than Jacques Lafitte? If we escape this video with only one message, that message is, put some goddamn respect on my boy, Jacques Lafitte. Lorenzo Bandini is number 64. He has 1 race win, And the most famous thing I know about Lorenzo Bandini was that he crashed into Graham Hill in that race, which cost him the title against John Surtees. So, congratulations, Mr. Bandini. Elio De Angelis, number 63. I'm not too sure about that. I think that's another one of like, if he hadn't have died, he would have gone on to be this good. But you know, he did die, so it's difficult. Number 60. This is very interesting. Number 60, Felipe Massa. So Felipe had 5 race wins at this point, and of course, the next 2 years for Felipe would be career-defining. Because in 2008, you have his greatest season ever, where he becomes world champion only to lose the championship 30 seconds later. Then 2009, he has that awful crash, which he never truly recovers from. So that's a fascinating insight to how Felipe was seen at that time. Number 60, I don't know if he would change too much, though, realistically, if you're writing this list today. Number 59 is David Coulthard, who would only have one more year in Formula 1, and it was not really a successful one. 13 wins from 228 races. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that one. 59. Is David Coulthard better than Felipe Massa? That's an interesting conversation, because I think they're about equal, realistically. But there you go, number 59. Juan Pablo Montoya is number 54. 92 Grand Prix, 7 race wins. Montoya is an interesting one, because I think having him and Coulthard relatively close is correct, because I think that they are relatively close. Number 53 is Jean Alesi. I think Coulthard's better than John Lacey, and I think Montoya's better than John Lacey, and Massa. I think all 3 of those should be ahead of him, really. But there you go, maybe you disagree. Denny Hulme, number 52. I believe that is our first world champion. The lowest ranked world champion, as long as all the world champions are in this book, and you would hope that they are. Denny Hulme, number 52, the 1967 Formula 1 world champion. And here's the next world champion, actually. Number 49, Jacques Villeneuve, the 1997 world champion. Of course, had 2 fantastic seasons at the start of his career, and then his career went on for another 8 years. There you go, 162 Grand Prix, 11 victories, and of course a world championship. Very low, but I think relatively fair? No? Number 49? Sure, Villeneuve would hate that himself. His dad must be ranked higher than him. There's no way that Gilles Villeneuve is not in this book. And whenever I mention Jacques Villeneuve in my videos, I always say, Jacques Villeneuve, the worst of the Villeneuves. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I think between him and Gilles Villeneuve, there's no competition. His dad was easily better. I remember someone in a comment section getting very upset about that, but this book that I mostly disagree with so far might agree with me. We shall see. Gerhard Berger is number 46. Now, Gerhard Berger is an interesting one, because I feel him and Nigel Mansell, in a way, suffer from a very similar thing, where he was good in an era of Prost and Senna being absolutely dominant. Any other era, his stats are a hell of a lot higher. Like I always say about Mansell, Mansell in any other era is like a 3, 4, 5-time world champion. But unfortunately for him, Senna and Prost existed and were in a McLaren car, which was the most dominant thing they'd ever seen at that point in time. And Gerhard Berger is kind of in a similar way, because he has 210 Grand Prix, 10 race wins, of course was teammates with Senna for a while in the McLaren, was in Ferrari as well, was at Benetton, went here, there and everywhere, never truly got those big numbers. Is 46 about right? Maybe. We shall see. Francois Sever is in 45. Now, if you don't know about him, he was in Tyrrell with Jackie Stewart in like the early 70s. Another guy who sadly passed away. And, you know, incredibly well respected. If you hear Jackie Stewart talk about him, you talk about how fantastic he was. Another guy who only had 1 race win and passed away far too early. And again, I think this is the kind of thing of like, he would have been this good. Is Francois Sever's career better than Gerhard Berger? No. Is it better than Jacques Villeneuve? No. Is it better than Denny Hulme? No. It's better than Jacques Lafitte? No, it's not. But I think this is very much he should have been this good, like a lot of the guys in this book. Number 44, Graham Hill. That makes him the 3rd worst world champion of all time, according to this book. I think that's rather unfair. 176 races, 14 world championships, 14 not 14 world championships, 14 wins, 2 world championships. I did a documentary on Graham Hill over the summer break. I think he is often overlooked as one of the greats. Because realistically, when you look at it, you have to put Jim Clark as one of the all-time greats. You just have to. And I'm sure this book will because he was British. But the person who was closest to Jim Clark was Graham Hill. He just was. Like, they weren't neck and neck. Clark was obviously better. But on his day, Graham Hill could beat him. And I think that alone puts him way higher than the 44th best F1 driver of all time. Okay, we've got someone here, Jean-Pierre, oh dear, French names are my weakness, Wimilly, Jean-Pierre Wimilly. He had 25 races and died in 1949, so died before the start of F1, never raced in F1, apparently he's a better F1 driver than Graham Hill. Another world champion is Jody Scheckter, number 42, the 1979 world champion. Again, I think that's relatively fair, really. Giuseppe Farina, there you go, number 41, the first ever Formula 1 world champion. Number 41, the 1950 world champion. Again, Farina, I don't know too much about him, but seems to be this really quite standout driver of the time, where the best two were obviously Fangio and Ascari, but just somehow Farina found a way to just win the first world title and will always be the very first Formula 1 world champion. It just stands out. It's like, say if this season, all of a sudden George Russell just won the world title. He wasn't the best on the grid, but yes, somehow he did it. It would always just be like this weird standout moment of like, you weren't the best one, but somehow you were the champion. Another world champion here, Mike Hawthorn, 1958. Now, Mike Hawthorn's a real interesting one because I always feel like whenever I look at the story of Mike Hawthorn, he was nowhere near as good as Stirling Moss, but maybe had a bit more luck with reliability, and that's what gave him the title that year. And for those who don't know, he did a Rosberg when he won the title and went, I quit, goodbye, and just kind of disappeared into the night. So, yeah, it's an interesting one for sure. 39, another world champion, another Hill, Damon Hill, world champion of 1996. I feel he's underrated as well, if I'm perfectly honest with you. Very much like his dad, look who he was up against. He was up against Michael Schumacher, and on his day, he beat him. And you'd hope Michael Schumacher be relatively high in this book, so I think Damon Hill is always rather underrated. What's very interesting about this, though, of course, is there are 3 people with the surname Hill who are Formula 1 world champions, and this book has decided the best of them was not related to the other ones, and it is Phil Hill. I wonder when he shall turn up. Oh, now! Number 38! Number 38, Phil Hill. There he is. Phil Hill, 1961 world champion. Is he better than the other Hills? He's the best actor in the film Grand Prix, I'll give him that, but I don't know if he's better than Graham and Damon Hill. Number 37, James Hunt. Now again, James Hunt, I think that's too high. I don't think James Hunt is better than Graham Hill. He's not better than Damon. James Hunt, when you look at it, just look at it for as good as it is. Wonderful character, one of the greatest personalities in the history of Formula 1. If this was top 100 personalities, he'd probably be number 1 because he was just the coolest guy to ever live. But when you're winning a world title, and for a lot of the races in that year, your number 1 rival is lying in hospital, you have to put questions around that, and I think, is he better than some of the guys we've already named? No, but he is British, so that bonuses you up. But so is Damon Hill and Graham Hill, so there's that as well. A lot of question marks around this. Number 36, another world champion, Alan Jones. Another massively underrated driver. You see, just look at his stuff in his last season, 1981, in that Williams. He is electric. He's fantastic. And he's a proper personality as well. In his last season, in 1981, the last few races of the year, he drives with a broken finger because he got into an accident, he got into an argument and punched someone in the face. What a guy! A hero of Australia, 12 race wins, Williams his first world champion, absolute legend. I think the only driver to win in a shadow car as well, in an official race, so Alan Jones, what a man. Didier Pironi, number 34. Now again, that's very controversial, because Pironi, I also did a documentary on him last year, and I called the video, what did I call it? The real 1982 Formula 1 world champion, and I called him that because that's what Enzo Ferrari called him, as like a little nickname thing on a little trophy that he sent to him when he was in hospital. And I explained that in the video, that, you know, Enzo Ferrari called Didier Pironi this, and that's kind of why I titled the video. And do you know the amount of people who saw the title of the video, didn't watch the video, then got upset at me for calling that video? It's probably 90% of the people who commented on that video. I'll be perfectly honest with you. You can't actually comment on that video anymore, because I turned the comments onto must be reviewed because so many people were arseholes. But there you go, Didier Pironi, number 34, another one which maybe is a bit of, he should have been this if he hadn't have had that accident, because I don't think he's better than some of the guys we've named so far. He's not better than Alan Jones, he's not better than Graham Hill, he's not better than, well, maybe Damon, I don't know. But yeah, I think that is a little high, and I'm a big fan of Mr. Pironi, I'll be honest with you there. Right, number 33 is Rudolf Kalioggi. He's from Germany. He died in 1959. He never raced in Formula 1. His last race was in 1939. What the hell is he doing in this book? Oh, this is very controversial. I don't like this at all. Number 32 is Fernando Alonso. And this is before his career went off the rails. This is released in 2007. He was flying high. You don't even know about Crashgate yet. You don't know about the awful stunt in Renault for the second time. You don't know about the dreadful stint in McLaren. You don't know about Alpine or Aston Martin. Well, they also don't know about his wonderful run in Ferrari. But you know, he's just come off the back of winning 2 world titles here. 102 Grand Prix, 19 race wins, 2-time world champion. That is far too low for El Matador. He is much better than number 32. Wow, okay, that is controversial. Oh my god, it's gotten worse. Number 31 is Nigel Mansell. My boy, my poor boy. 187 Grand Prix, 31 race wins, and of course the 1992 world champion. Nigel Mansell is way better than number 31. Poor Nigel. He's just the lad, you know, he's just the man. He was treated so badly by Frank Williams at the end. He should have been a 14-time, well, not 14, I'm joking now. It's a little joke. Stop writing your comment. But yeah, number 31 for our Nige. I can't believe that. Nigel Mansell is way better than number 31. Right, who's next? Number 30, Lewis Hamilton. And here's his stats at the time of release of this book. 17 Grand Prix, 4 race wins, 1 season in Formula 1. Undoubtedly fantastic. Undoubtedly one of, if not the best Formula 1 rookie season of all time. But does that make him better than like 7 different world champions? Maybe more than that? Does 1 season of Lewis Hamilton's career make him better than all of Nigel Mansell's career? I think no. But this, so it makes you wonder, right? So what this book is saying is if Lewis Hamilton had called it quits at the end of 2007 and gone, I had that great rookie year, that's enough for me, thank you very much, goodbye. Is that better than Nigel Mansell's entire career? The answer is no, it's not. Absolutely it is not. Like now, if you release this book now, he is minimum top 5, if not minimum top 3, and for some, minimum top 1. Not for me, but for some. But yeah, number 30 for Lewis Hamilton after only 1 year. What's really strange about this, right? So, now this is very interesting. Where was not Jacques Lafitte, I've got him on the brain. Where was Villeneuve? Where's he gone? Right, so Jacques Villeneuve is the 49th best Formula 1 driver of all time. Lewis Hamilton is the 30th. So there are 19 places between these two. And up until this point, with 1 season in the bank, and even to season 2 of Lewis Hamilton's career, their careers were relatively identical, because Villeneuve comes in his first season in a team that's fighting for the world title, wins a few races, has a really good time, in his second year becomes world champion, then it all goes downhill from there. That lands him on number 49. Lewis Hamilton at this point has had a really good first year, won 4 races, he's having a great time, will go on to be world champion next year. So, Villeneuve's downfall after 1997 has cost him 19 places in this book, apparently. But there you go, we move. Number 29 is Kimi Raikkonen, so he'd just been crowned world champion. He'd go on to break the record for the most F1 races ever, and then Alonso would break that again. He would disappear, of course. He'd come back with Lotus. That was a great little era. Him in the Lotus Renault, really good stuff there. 15 race wins at the point of this book being released. I think maybe 29 is relatively fair, though. I think 29 is quite fair for Raikkonen. Number 28 is Keke Rosberg. Now that is far too high. Yeah, Keke Rosberg, I don't think he's better than Kimi Raikkonen. He's not better than Nigel Mansell. Both their careers had ended at this point. How the hell is Keke Rosberg better than Nigel Mansell? I argue that this book had too much British bias. There's too much British bias, and there's also hating on our Nige. I mean, Keke Rosberg, realistically, is a world champion, of course, 1982. But in order to win that 1982 World Championship, he needed Gilles Villeneuve to die, Didier Pironi to break both of his legs, Carlos Reutemann to utterly retire, Brabham to fall off entirely. You know, that's too high for Keke Rosberg, and it's made me realise Nico Rosberg's not going to be in this book, and if he was, I think Nico Rosberg would be higher than Keke as well. There you go. Dan Gurney's number 27. I like you, Dan Gurney. How are you better than all the people we've listed so far? This book is infuriating. Who the hell is Herman Lang? Oh, he actually raced in Formula 1. Let's not discount that. He has... Well, this book always cites numbers that I guess like from before F1 as well. So let's have a look at Herman Lang's actual F1 career. Where is it? That's Hans Herman. Herman Lang. Where are you? Herman Lang. Here he is. He has 2 Formula 1 races. So in the 1954 German Grand Prix, he started 11th and then didn't finish because he spun out. In the 1953 Swiss Grand Prix, he started 11th and finished 5th. That makes him the 26th best Formula 1 driver of all time. Great stuff. Really, really good. 25 is Ronnie Peterson. No, it's not. Again, this is... If it was a list of top 100 drivers who died tragically, then yeah, Ronnie Peterson would be like quite high. Ronnie Peterson's great. He's really good. He's not the 25th best Formula... He's not better than Nigel Mansell. John Surtees is number 24. Yeah, look, he's the only world champion to ever have a world title on motorbikes and Formula 1 cars. That's an amazing statistic. Fantastic. Went on to establish his own team briefly as well. Really good. But, like, I don't think he's better than Graham Hill. And they got him, like, 20 places higher. Who the hell is Guy Moll? Who's Guy? He died in 1934. He was never in Formula 1. How is he the 23rd best driver ever? Right, Nelson Piquet is number 22. Yeah, okay. Could maybe be a bit higher. 3-time world champion. You know, did it for Brabham and for Williams. Was a bit of a but you know what? Sometimes that makes people quite likeable, I guess. 23 career wins, so less than Nigel Mansell. 204 Grand Prix appearances. Yeah, okay, I think he should be a bit higher. Number 21 is Jochen Rindt. Again, a guy who, you know, tragically passed away and probably would have gone on to have a much better career, but he has 6 race wins. He has his World Championship, of course, the only world title holder to be given the title after he passed away, which is incredibly tragic. But again, does that make him better than Nelson Piquet? I don't think it does. Niki Lauda is number 20. And again, I think that's a bit low for Niki. I mean, before Michael Schumacher came along, Niki Lauda was Mr. Ferrari. 3-time world champion, you know, 171 races, 25 Grand Prix wins. Beat Alain Prost in equal machinery by only half a point, but he did it, you know. I think Niki Lauda should maybe be a bit higher. How the hell is Mario Andretti number 19? No disrespect to Andretti, who, you know, has done everything. You know, Indy 500 winner, Formula 1 world champion, he's done the lot, you know? He's not the 19th best Formula 1 driver of all time. He's just not. Number 18 is Jack Brabham. Again, three-time world champion. You got to give him the credit for that. 14 race wins. Set up his own team and won the world title with him. I mean, that's fantastic. Number 18. Actually, you know what? I'll give it him. Number 18 is fine. 17, Emerson Fittipaldi. Two-time world champion. 14 race wins. Legend. Absolute legend. Oh, look at that. Number 16 is Achille Vasari. My goodness. He was dead by 1948. He's definitely a better Formula 1 driver than Emerson Fittipaldi. Number 15 is Carlos Reutemann. I love Carlos Reutemann. I think he's absolutely fantastic. One of the most underrated drivers of all time. One of the best drivers to ever not win a world title. But at the end of the day, he didn't win a world title. He's not better than Emerson Fittipaldi. He's not better than Nelson Piquet. He's not better than Alan Jones. He's not better than a load of these. How is he number 15? How? Number 14 is Tony Brooks. How is number 14 Tony Brooks? Then number 13 is Chris Amon. This guy has never watched Formula 1 in his life. He's just done a random name generator. Number 12, Gilles Villeneuve. Gilles Villeneuve is fantastic. One of the most naturally gifted drivers of all time. Some of the most beautiful wheel-to-wheel racing we have ever seen. That win in Spain in 1981 is one of the most beautiful displays of defensive driving you'll ever see. But is he the 12th best? I don't know. Maybe he is. He had 6 wins from 67 races. Ugh, God. Okay, let's just keep on going. Oh my God. The 11th best Formula 1 driver of all time, according to this book, is Michael Schumacher. How do you write a book in 2007, a year removed from Schumacher's first retirement, and go, yeah, Michael Schumacher is not a top 10 Formula 1 driver of all time. Never mind top 10, top 5. Never mind top 5, top 3. At this point, the top 3 is Senna, Prost, Schumacher. Maybe you put Jim Clark in there as well. How the hell do you have him 11th? The stats are here. 249 Grand Prix. 7-time world champion. And he's put him 11th place. Mika Häkkinen's 10th. I love Mika Häkkinen. He's not better than Michael Schumacher. He just isn't. Who the hell is Tesaro Nuvolari? I'll tell you who he's not. He's not the 9th best Formula 1 driver of all time. He died in 1953. His last race was in 1939. Oh, this is the worst book I've ever read. Right, number 8, Jackie Stewart. Okay, for me that's even a little bit low for Jackie. Maybe he should be a bit higher. I mean, Jackie Stewart, on his work outside of the cockpit alone, puts him up higher than that. The work he did for Formula 1 safety, the amount of lives that have been indirectly saved by Jackie Stewart's contribution to the Formula 1 world, puts him number 1 for most influential people in Formula 1 of all time. Not only that, 3-time world champion, did it for Matra, did it for Tyrrell, 27 race wins from 99 Grand Prix, all-time legend. Number 8 is a bit low, but, there we go. Who the f*** is Bernd Rosemeyer? Last race was in 1937. This is not even worth toilet paper. Number 6 is Fangio, because of course it is. Fangio, the first ever 5-time Formula 1 world champion. 24 wins from 51 Grand Prix. Number 6. He's put Ascari number 5. Ascari is better than Fangio apparently. 13 wins from 32 Grand Prix. 2-time world champion. Prost is 4th. 4th best Formula 1 driver of all time. 51 race wins. 4-time world champion. Alain Prost, number 4. My God. What? Senna's number 3. You have Schumacher 11th. Prost 4th. And Senna 3rd. 41 wins. 3 world titles. 161 Grand Prix. Right. Who's left? So Jim Clark has to be number 1. I have no idea who number 2 is going to be. We've run out of people. Right. Number 2 is Jim Clark. Number 2 is Jim Clark. 25 wins from 72 Grand Prix, 2-time world champion, Jim Clark, number 2. Right, I have no idea how this is going to end. In a way, it's the most thrilling book I've ever read. In another way, I think it's absolute trash. Shall we see if number 1 is someone who was dead before 1950, I'm going to kick off. Number 1 is Stirling Moss. I'm going to do this in a way that hopefully will not discredit the memory of Stirling Moss. Absolute legend. Should have been a world champion. One of the greatest ever. He is one of the greatest ever, undoubtedly. But at the end of the day, he never won a world championship. 16 wins from 66 Grand Prix. Very long career, but never won a world title. In my opinion, you cannot be the number 1 F1 driver of all time if you don't win a world title. That is the ultimate prize. The biggest one. And yeah, you can say maybe his car wasn't as good as like Mike Hawthorne's was or whoever else beat him. At the end of the day, if you don't win a world title, you're not the best. That's how we measure who the best is. The world championship. Stirling Moss is fantastic. He's not the number 1 Formula 1 driver of all time. Oh my god. I'm never reading this ever again. That was shocking. Now, I thought the biggest upset we were going to have was Jacques Lafitte being so low down. Little did I know, Michael Schumacher was not going to make the top 10. Wow. Okay. Well then. There we go, everyone. That was the top 100 Formula 1 drivers of all time from 2007. I need to go have a lie down and to check my blood pressure. Until next time, have a good one. Goodbye.